Hey everybody, I'm going to be making an eggnog pie tonight, and the way that I do this eggnog pie is it's like a chocolate silk pie, except instead of using whipping cream with the chocolate, I use eggnog. And for the crust I use ginger snap crust, and it's actually made from ginger snaps. So one of the things that I do is I measure out the cookies that I'm going to be using, and you need about 7 ounces of cookies for each crust. Oops. That should be good, so I'll put 7, toss it in here. And then let me show you, I actually use the dough blade when I bust up cookies in a food processor. So you just put the lid on and you let it roll. I'm going to show you what it does when you use a metal blade too. It's got the same amount of cookies. I'm actually making 2 pies, so this is okay. Alright, I'll bring you down and you can see this. This is the one I did with the dough blade in there. You'll see there's some good sized pieces for some of them. And if we go into this one, it's all just sort of powder. And you know, it really depends on how you want to do it, but you can take your pick which one you'd prefer. I kind of like the one that's a little more crumbly. I've got the oven going. It's on at 350 right now, and I need to put in both piles of my crumbs. I also like to put a little bit on the side of the food processor. That helps me remember what's inside, because sometimes it's hard to see in there. So that was a little bit too much. Go ahead and put that in there. This one that I have on the pulse button is also important because I want to remember which is which in case my vision gets blurry and I can't tell on versus off / pulse. So that's important. So this is the butter, melted the butter. This is it's about 1.5 sticks of butter. Go ahead and pour that in. And we'll go ahead and set the top on here. And we just want to mix this up. And if we take this off of here, we're going to go ahead and grab 2 pie pans and we'll put it in. Where the heck are the pie pans? So I found the pie pans, and go ahead and put some of this in here. I'll be careful. There's a trick you can use. If you put your finger in the bottom here, you can hold on to it so that the blade doesn't come out. There's a little extra in there. We'll wait and see what we need to do with that one. But then you have to make sure that your hands are nice and clean, which mine are. You'll have to trust me. And you just push it down in the middle. You don't worry about squishing it on the sides. You just keep pushing in the middle and it smushes it all out. And then you can, with the parts that go up the sides, you can pinch that against it a little. But you'll see there's a couple of little holes here, and these holes you can just go ahead and brush some across, or if you notice that it's coming up too high on one side, you can knock that down, whatever you want to do. It's pretty easy, pretty forgiving. So you're talking about maybe 1/8 of an inch thick on your crust. And so that's it, you're done. All you have to do is put this in the oven for 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. I'll turn off the camera afterwards because my hands have butter all over them. So here's one of the pie crusts. What I usually do, a big spoon and kind of mush it down, and you just make sure that it's as flat as you can get it along the bottom. It's not going to be hard yet. It will be hot. And when you mush it, you want to sort of make it go and mush the things up the sides also. So if you start
in the middle and mush out. It works well, so make sure that your crust comes all the way up to the edge. Anyhow, I'm mushing. So let's take a close-up look. Hopefully you can see the difference between these two. So this one is it's up to the edge. This one's not so much. And it's a lot more smooth in the bottom, and this one's pretty lumpy. And so hopefully you aren't too car sick, but you get the general idea of when you pull them out, before it really solidifies, you go ahead and use that spoon and squish it down and make them look more like this one. So the next part, we're using a double boiler, and I have eggs and sugar, which I actually measured the weight of the sugar while it was in the bowl, so it makes it a little easier. And then just need to whisk this up, which is pretty difficult to do while I'm holding a camera, so you'll just have to watch this later. This is the part where it gets really boring, but you need to make sure that you have a fast read thermometer, you have your whisk ready, and you have your eggs and your sugar in here, and you're just going to be mixing this constantly for 8 minutes. So I guarantee it, 8 minutes. Don't stop until it's 8 minutes, and then check your thermometer. You want to get up to 160 degrees. This is just a quick sample on what I will be doing for the next 8 minutes. This is what it turns into. It's kind of it almost looks like pancake batter, except it's just eggs and sugar. It's delicious, but it's also very hot, which is the only thing saving it from being pudding right now. And I took all the eggs and sugar and put them in the mixer, and I'm going to turn that on high for 3 minutes. But then I'm also starting over here. I'm going to melt the butter in the double boiler. I'm going to add in the eggnog and then also the chocolate, which was on Manager's Special today. Awesome. Let's see here, this is the butter, eggnog, and white chocolate. Which doesn't look a whole heck of a lot different than the eggs and sugar, which looks delicious. So delicious. So now I've got the two of them in there. That's the chocolate, the eggnog, and sugar and eggs and butter. We're going to turn this guy on, let her go for a little bit, and just make sure it's all mixed up well. I think the worst part about making these is that I am lactose intolerant and I can't lick the beaters. It's very sad. Scoop this into here. And if you'll notice that it's delicious, that's one of the things you really want to look for. I'll go ahead and put this in the other one here too. Okay, that one's also delicious. Good. Because if for some reason you may have made an extra tiny pie crust, you can always fill that up too. A lot of times I have those sitting around. So for anyone who has a KitchenAid mixer or stand mixer, you should never buy whipped cream again. I usually do 1.5 tablespoons of sugar and 1.25 cups of whipping cream, and you can put in a little vanilla if you want, and you put on your guard because it will spray, and you make sure you put the whisk attachment on. Put anything else on there, it's going to go flying. So go ahead and crank it up on high and see what happens. And when you are done, it will go like this, and you'll have some lovely whipped cream, which you can put right on top of your pies. So we're going to do that next. So I've got the pies, and they're all whipped up and such, and a little nutmeg on top. So they're all done, and then I even have a little one. This is a little guy with chicken broth in the background. And then I have two little cups that are pretty much like little pudding cups of them that are hanging out next to the jalapeno jelly. So lots of fun desserts in here. You probably can't see anything that I'm doing down here.